in a world saturated with stories, shaped by spin and seduced by spectacle. How do we find truth? How do we resist the current that pulls us, not towards understanding, but towards persuasion? This question is not new. In fact, it stretches back to ancient Greece, to the shadow of philosophy. Sophistry. The sophists were not seekers of truth, but rather craftsmen of rhetoric. Skilled in the art of timing, they taught how to win debates, sway crowds, and shake narratives. For a fee, they even sold the tools of persuasion, not to unveil reality, but to control its appearance. They mastered the language of logic without its love. They imitated philosophy, but aimed not at wisdom, only at influence. To Plato and Socrates, this was a profound danger. The sophist, said Plato, is the one who makes the weaker argument appear stronger. And what could be more perilous than a world where those who speak best are mistaken for those who speak truly? Sophistry did not die. It evolved. Today, it dresses in the language of politics, branding, media, even science. It speaks through influences and institutions alike. It charms through ethos, the appeal to authority, to celebrity, to status. It manipulates through pathos, pity, outrage, desire. And it seduces through mythos, stories that inspire and move us. Logos, reason, clarity, and fact, is rare, and, in many spheres, unwelcome. Logos slows things down and asks uncomfortable questions. It resists the crowd, offering no applause, only insight. Yet, it is only through Logos that we find the ground beneath our feet. Philosophy begins in wonder. It humbles. It asks not how to win, but what is true. It does not flatter. It refines. It does not entertain. It illuminates. And in this way, it is radically different from sophistry. Both employ argumentation. Both speak in the cadence of intellect. But where one seeks light, the other seeks leverage. Sophistry appeals to what you want to believe. Philosophy asks whether it's justified. But sometimes even philosophers fall into sophistry. Even truth seekers get seduced by the elegance of sounding correct. So maybe the real danger is not just from the outside, but within. In order to resist, we must become lucid minds who love clarity, who hunger for coherence, who question even the beliefs that comfort us. This is not an easy path. It is quieter than propaganda, slower than slogans, lonelier than belonging to a crowd. But it is the path of freedom, because to think clearly is to live clearly. So, we must learn to listen, not for what flatters, but for what holds up under scrutiny. We must speak, not for applause, but for precision. And, above all, we must care more about being wrong than about being right. For in a world where language shapes reality, the soul of our society depends upon the integrity of our speech. Because sophistry thrives not just in the mouths of the cunning, but in the silence of the critical. And this is no small choice, because what we choose doesn't just change our arguments, it changes who we become. So, ask yourself, are you here to be persuaded, or are you here to think?